deep reverberating thrum echoed through the chamber. A low vibration ran through the floor, shaking loose ice and dust. The glyphs flared with an eerie green light. Then came the sound I will never forget. The grinding of metal against metal, the hiss of hydraulics long dormant coming to life. Necrons. I don't know how to describe it other than saying reality itself wavered. The walls flickered, shifting between the frozen cavern and something else. An impossible landscape of black metal spires under a sky of roiling green lightning. I could hear voices, whispers in a language I couldn't understand, yet they slithered into my thoughts like parasites. And then I saw myself. An ancient, desiccated husk, clad in tattered commissarial garb, staring back at me with lifeless sockets. It wasn't just a hallucination. I felt the weight of eternity pressing on me as if I had already been here, forever trapped in this waking nightmare. Jurgen's hand on my shoulder snapped me back to the present. His mere presence seemed to push back the unnatural influence clawing at my mind. The air was thin, biting cold, and I could already feel the sweat on my back freezing against my greatcoat. The tunnels beneath the Prometheum refinery were a labyrinth of ice and ancient rock, barely lit by the glow of glow lamps attached to our laser guns. The refinery's workers had reported strange disturbances, disappearances, inexplicable power failures, and unsettling echoes that seemed to come from nowhere. That was enough to get the Mechanicus interested, which meant it became our problem. Jurgen, as always, was at my side, his ever-present stench cutting through the chill. He was calm, laser gun at the ready. If he had any concerns about this, he certainly didn't show them. Magos Killian led the way, his mechadendrites scanning the frozen walls, his red-robed form barely registering the cold. He muttered Benarik Cant to himself as his Auspex unit whined. Castine and Broclaw had deployed a small detachment of Valhallans behind us, sturdy, disciplined troops who had no idea what they were walking into. We found it soon enough. A vast chamber of smooth green-black metal, buried beneath the ice for Emperor knows how long. It was unlike anything natural, its walls lined with strange glyphs that glowed faintly at our approach. My gut twisted. I'd seen this kind of material before on another Emperor-forsaken world, and it never meant anything good. Killian approached the wall, his augmetics whirring. "This structure predates Imperial Settlement by millennia," he said, more to himself than to us. They rose from alcoves in the walls, skeletal figures of living metal, their baleful green eyes flickering awake. Their Gauss flares hummed as they activated, energy coalescing into the deadly disintegration beams I'd seen turn men into dust in an instant. The first shots tore through the refinery workers before they could even scream. Panic erupted as laser guns opened up, but I knew how little good it would do. The Necrons didn't fall like normal enemies. Even as we shot them apart, their shattered forms began to knit back together, limbs reassembling, heads swiveling back into place as if nothing had happened. "Fall back," I shouted, dragging Jurgen behind a slab of ice as the Gauss beam struck where I'd been standing a second before. "Killian, shut it down." "The systems are beyond my control," the Magos intoned, his glowing lenses scanning the interface of alien symbols. The Valhallans fought bravely, disciplined ranks firing into the advancing tide of metal horrors, but it was a losing battle. The refinery workers were either dead or dying, their bodies crumbling into sickly green ash as the Necron weapons stripped them down to molecules. They were still advancing, but our window for escape was narrowing. "Sir," Jurgen grunted, "we need to go." I didn't argue. We fell back in an orderly retreat, if you could call barely outrunning an unstoppable metal horde orderly. The tunnels shook as the Necrons advanced, their metal feet clanking against the ice. Jurgen laid down suppressive fire as we reached the upper levels, his melta blasting apart a pair of Necron warriors. They went down hard, liquefied into slag, and for once, stayed down. As we neared the refinery's outer access point, I voxed the surface. Orbital strikes weren't exactly standard protocol in situations like this, but Castine and Broclaw didn't hesitate. Minutes later, the tunnels behind us roared as fiery devastation rained down from above, collapsing the entryways and entombing whatever remained beneath ice and stone. I didn't stop running until I was sure nothing was coming up behind us. Only when the explosion stopped and silence returned did I dare to breathe properly again. Killian was displeased, of course. "A lost opportunity for study," he muttered. I shot him a glare. Be grateful you still have a brain to complain with." The official report would say we successfully neutralized an unknown Xenos threat, but I knew better. The Necrons weren't gone. They were merely waiting.